Hi, welcome to the Rise and Ride Show, the space for horse riders who have lost their confidence but are ready to feel the joy in riding again. If you've ever felt nervous or doubted yourself in the saddle, then you're not alone. We've all been there, including me. This is your place to feel seen and supported, and each week we explore practical and simple ways to rebuild your confidence and reconnect with your horse. I'm Katie from Align and Advance, and I'm so glad you're here. So this week on the podcast and YouTube series, we are talking about the mindset shift that changed everything for me. Because when it comes to riding horses, when I went back into riding after a long break, I was kind of doing things the way I'd been taught growing up. But I don't know, things had changed. Maybe it was my age, maybe it was my circumstances and stuff, having like another job, a house to run, kids and things like that. A lot had changed in the background, but I just went gung-ho into it like I was 20 again. And it felt very, very different. But I think so many of us have been told, and this is kind of like the old school classic thing of just get back on the horse, just ride more, just push through it. And it didn't work for me, and I've found that with the people that I help, it doesn't necessarily work for them either. It's a classic, isn't it? Just get back on the horse. I mean, it's just a phrase that people use all over the place. But what I found was I was in a place where that wasn't working, and I was just trying to do more. Every time I tried harder and pushed myself more, it actually felt worse. It wasn't feeling any better for me. So the biggest shift for me was this. Instead of asking, how do I push through this? I was asking what's happening and why. So I kind of went deeper into it to try and kind of sort it out from kind of underneath the level of just like once I am on the horse. So instead of just getting on and hoping for the best, I slowed everything right down, and I started looking at what triggered the feelings of the nerves. When did I start feeling nervous? Because you need to start treating the problem from the moment you start feeling nervous. So if you're feeling nervous when you're driving to the yard, then you need to start working on it then. Otherwise, by the time you turn up, your nervous system is already jangling away and is in overdrive. So what triggered it when I started feeling nervous, how I felt, what did I think was about to happen? And for me, it wasn't necessarily, so the behaviour, I really, really wish I'd videoed it, because looking back now, the behaviour wasn't horrendous from Toby, but it felt big and it felt different and it felt scary because so much was riding on it. As in, if I came off and hurt myself, were we going to be able to continue on this journey? Would it ruin the horse riding journey for my daughters? And would I be able to carry on working, running the house, driving around? I'm just by nature a really busy person, and I am a horrible patient as well. And kind of that was the underlying problem for me as well. How did Toby feel? Like, why was his behaviour not entirely great? And what was the environment like? So did I feel calm and comfortable and relaxed in the environment and did Toby feel calm and comfortable and relaxed in the environment? And most importantly, what did I want instead? What did I want the outcome to be? How did I want to feel? And if you can focus on that part, then you're you take a big leap forward, because then you know what you want to achieve, and also you know when you've achieved it as well, because a lot of people don't give themselves credit for what they have achieved. So practical examples of this might look like, for you, doing some groundwork before even thinking about getting on. I mean, when I say doing groundwork, it doesn't have to be particularly complicated. Just walking in hand around the yard, arena, track, first part of your hacking route or something like that. Does that make you feel better? Does that make your horse feel more relaxed? So just doing a little bit. It doesn't have to be groundwork as we kind of see it in natural horsemanship style routines and techniques. It can just be having a little bit of time of connection on the ground with your horse before you actually get on. Is it just changing your routine completely? Would you feel more comfortable? So going back to the section about like what was the environment like, would you feel more comfortable if you went to your yard to ride at a quieter time of day? I mean, sometimes it's not that practical, because when you work, like there's a routine to kind of go to the yard before work or after or both. But can you change your routine a little bit to ride at like a quieter time of day, or a time of day when there are more people around that might be able to support you? Because oftentimes if you do ask like a friend at the yard to just come and be nearby, they could do that just so that you felt like you had a little bit of support. Just changing your routine sometimes helps snap you out of that routine that you've got yourself in, where your body just goes on autopilot, and it's like, yep, that's when we start to get nervous, that's when we start to worry. So it might just help to change that up a little bit. Giving yourself more time instead of rushing. One of the freebies that I give away, and I'll link it in the show notes to this, is like a pre-ride routine and tracker. And I think a pre-ride routine, if you're feeling nervous, is really important, just to give yourself a little bit of time. It doesn't have to be long. It's not like half an hour's worth of meditating or anything. No one's got time for that, and you look like a little bit of a strange one at the barn doing that. But just giving yourself a little bit of time to check in with yourself can really help before you start to ride. Or even just deciding that, okay, today isn't about riding, but I've got a plan in place for when I am going to do it and what I'm building up to. And again, that kind of links in with giving yourself a bit more time as well. Because just because you've got to, like, the path of riding is never like a upward trajectory all the time of like, yeah, this is just going really well. It goes like that. So even though you've got to a certain point, if you're taking a dip, it's okay, recognize it, take the dip, but plan the upward trajectory again. So yeah, just sometimes, all right, today's not about riding, but this is my plan in place. And again, with going back to the pre-ride routine and tracker, the tracker part, I say this to people all the time, and it's the hardest thing to get people to actually do, is to track their rides. But it's such a helpful thing to do. It's a helpful thing to do for nerves. It's a helpful thing to do for anything. We've got a little left rein canter problem with Toby. And to be honest, when you're riding, it's a lot easier not to work the left rein canter very much, because it's hard work and sometimes you just want an easy ride. But if I keep a track of, okay, how much have we actually worked on this? How much can we expect of him? Because how much have we helped him along to practice on this? If you look back and you have tracked your rides, then you do know whether you have like put that work in or not. So the tracker is really, really helpful, whether you're just trying to achieve a goal or get over nerves. Because as far as the nerves are concerned, you know, there might be certain days that, you think, I didn't actually feel that nervous that day, but I felt more nervous here. And if you've written it all down, you can kind of go back and analyse that and go, well, okay, this week, why did I feel more relaxed on Sunday? Is it because I wasn't thinking about work? I wasn't thinking I had to get home and cook dinner for everybody. I wasn't, you know, like there are lots of other pressures that mount up on top of you when you're doing such a time-consuming hobby as horse riding. So you can kind of go back and look over it, and you can say, okay, right, well, I was starting off, I was really, really nervous, and I could only jump this height a month ago, and now I've gone up 5 centimeters and I am making progress. And although that won't feel like very much at the time when you're riding, if you can look back over your tracker and notice how you felt doing it, or even if the height hasn't gone up but the feeling that you've written down next to it for how you feel while you're doing it has improved, then you've made an improvement. So yeah, that's just me going on about trackers again. Please do it, please. So basically the truth is, if something isn't working, it's not because you're not good enough. It really isn't because you're not good enough. We're all riding at different levels, and that is absolutely fine. But sometimes it's just that something needs to change, and you just need to take a little bit of time and analyse what that is. And it might take a few goes at changing your whatever it is, you know, it might take a few attempts and go, well, I changed this, but actually I don't feel any different. So just keep plugging away at it though, and just making these little tweaks, and then you will find that something will click, and then you can look back on your tracker and find out what that was. So confidence doesn't come from pushing through fear. It comes from like understanding it, analysing it, and doing something about it. So it's not always just keep plugging away at the same thing. If you look at the underlying issues, then oftentimes you can crack the code and change everything for yourselves. So when you start analysing it, everything just changes. You can feel calmer, you can start to trust yourself again, and yeah, that's where the real progress happens. So if you're in a place right now where it just feels hard all of the time, instead of asking yourself, how do I keep going, just ask yourself what needs to change. Because if you can get to the bottom of that, you'll feel much, much better. Okay, thank you so much for listening or watching if you're on YouTube, and I will see you again next week for another episode. Take care of yourselves. Bye.